What's going on, my friends? For today's episode, we're going to do a first impressions review of this brand new Seiko SNJ033, which is the next evolution from the SNJ025, also known as the Arnie, which is actually a reissued model from one many decades ago. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting out with price, I'm finding these for sale at around $680. I spent around $620 with a coupon. So, you know, just shop around, and most retail stores normally have one of those coupons for like your first purchase. And now going over dimensions and weight, I'm just going to have those on the screen for you. You can go ahead and pause at any time to see those. Just from eyeing it, you know, with my naked eye, it's around the same size as the SNJ035. So if you have experience with the Arnie, then you know exactly what you're walking into when it comes to size. And weight, of course, is going to be substantially heavier just because of the case material. Now let's go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison. So, you know, of course, my Arnie is heavily modified. I swapped out the shroud for a steel shroud and then the bezel insert for a steel bezel insert. But either way, the size and overall shape is exactly the same as the, you know, unmodified version. But here we go. Here's a side-by-side. So again, they are very different, but you can clearly see that they share the same genetic makeup. Now going over some general information for case material, this one is going to be all steel, but there are several variations. I think there's one with a plastic shroud, and then there's I think the black version is also steel too, but this one, the one that I have, is all steel and with a steel bracelet, and it is awesome. At the very top, you have a 120 click unidirectional bezel. Nothing different here. Crystal is the Hardlex crystal. You've got the indices underneath that, and then the digital display right there instead of at the top of the dial. You've got 3 pushers here, so 1, 2, and 3, or also known as A, B, C. These are screw lock type pushers, so you have to unscrew them in order to access them. And then this is your main crown, which is also a screw down crown. And one of the cool things that I really like that they did with these pushers is you can clearly see the color here. And so if you can see the color, that means that the pusher is exposed and you should not dive with it. It's a great little safety feature for the watch itself. So it's just reminding you like, okay, I'm seeing colors. Let's go ahead and screw those in and protect the watch. And now moving on to the underside, you can see a screw down case back, which is essentially identical to the older Arnie. And then a stainless steel bracelet, very typical for Seiko. And it does have a diver's extension right there. And other than that, nothing crazy here. Pretty standard Seiko stuff. Going over the dial, it's nothing crazy here. Something that you're very used to, and it is very familiar, so I like that. Do I like the dial or the digital display on the bottom part of the dial? I don't know, you know, I don't feel any type of way about it. I think it's cool. I think it was cool on this one at the top, and I think it is equally cool at the bottom. You've also got applied lume or Lumebrite lume on all of the indices, which is fantastic. I think Lumebrite and Super Luminova, those are just like the industry standards of excellence, and in this case it's no different here. You've also got redundancy by having a backlight, which you would access through this pusher right here. I'd also like to take this time to mention that this pusher right here, so A and B, are the same as these pushers right here. So this is A and this is B, and this is A and that's B. So long story short, what that means is pusher A is going to allow you to access the different modes here. So date, dual time, your log, dive log mode, which is new, your stopwatch, and then alarm, and then back to main time. And then pusher B right here is going to access the backlight or the start stop button for the chronograph. I want to say you can also use A and B to test the beep Yep, there you go. So you can test the alarm here, and this is the alarm that is going to sound off for like rapid ascent, your alarm, any kind of noise that the watch is going to make. That's what it's going to sound like. Pusher C right here, this is a new pusher, and this is how you access dive mode. So you're going to hold that for 2 seconds, and now you're in dive mode, and it'll automatically start going once you get into a water depth of greater than 1.6 meters. And then to exit out of it, you either got to be like stagnant for a certain amount of time, or you can just hold it again and exit out of it. And real quick, just to touch on that bezel again, I think it's great. You know, it moves smoothly, it's not hard to turn, but it's also solid enough with very minimal, if any, backplate at all. And it does line up. So we avoid the Seiko curse here, and we've got a properly lined up bezel. As far as the overall construction and build quality of this watch, I'm very pleased with it. It just smacks you in the face the second you get it out of the box. Not a lot of watches do that, but this one with the stainless steel construction, just the overall tightness of everything, you know, even from the pushers, the threading is very tight. Everything feels just deliberately made and made with a purpose. So this truly is, in my opinion, an excellent tool watch. Certain features that play into the whole tool watch motif is the brushed steel finishing, which again is fantastic, and then these hex head screws that line the outer edge of the case. You know, they do serve a purpose, but also just aesthetically it looks so freaking cool. And on top of all of that, on the dial you can see the diver's text on the dial, meaning that this does follow the ISO certification or the ISO standard. So you know you're getting a true diver's watch that you can take to the pool, to the bathtub, or, you know, on a deeper dive with a scuba tank and everything. As of now, I'm very pleased with this purchase. I think my complaints are going to be the same as my complaints with the older model, which is the fact that the crowns or the pushers are righty loosey, lefty tighty, which is super nitpicky, and it's not a big deal at all. But for me personally, that just drives me up the wall. The fact that I have to turn it clockwise to loosen it and then counterclockwise to tighten it. And then my other gripe is the fact that the backlight button right here, pusher B, is used as a dual purpose. So it's used to turn on the backlight, and it's also the start stop button for the chronograph. So when you're using the chronograph, you can't use the backlight. And I just feel like that's a wasted opportunity here, because they added a completely new pusher here. So they could have left the backlight button completely on its own as a standalone pusher. But, you know, whatever. That's just my own personal gripe. But all in all, I'm very pleased. I know I'm gonna love this, and you know, I probably do have a biased point of view because I am a Seiko fanboy and I am an Arnie fanboy, so I feel like in my case this watch really can do no wrong. Like, I'm gonna love it no matter what. But with that being said, I do think that any of you who are all about this type of watch and are all about the Arnie are gonna feel the same exact way. I think Seiko did a fantastic job here, and yeah, I'm very pleased. So anyways, short video, just the first impressions. You know, as the months move on, I'll do an updated review. I don't think much is going to change, but I'll still do it anyways just for the views. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on my next episode. All right, bye.